Yeah, I'm really excited for the new Assassin's Creed. I'm not going to play it, but I love that show Vikings on the History Channel, so this looks kind of like that.
Hey, I'm Fingers.
Yo, this is Vector.
Hey everyone, this is Days Ahead.
And I'm Nitroid. You're listening to the Kojima Frequency. Do you think we expect too much? Do you think E3 has set expectations far too high for this kind of stuff?
Not for me. Personally, E3 has been a disappointment for the past decade, so...
Really? Even the Final Fantasy VII, the Shenmue 3, the Last Guardian, all like bang, bang, bang one?
That was a good year when they did that.
In retrospect, the Shenmue 3 thing was like, I felt like it was a bit like extortion, but that's another topic.
The Kickstarter bit, I remember audio. So true story, I was sitting about 8 rows back from the stage during that conference. And when the words Kickstarter showed up, you could hear like audible groaning everywhere.
Yeah.
Did any of y'all play that, Shenmue 3?
No.
Nope. Why would I? I did
because I
tried
love
to play Shenmue 1.
Like I played the first two and back on Dreamcast and then the second one on the Xbox when that came out. But
right.
This was it was a total Kickstarter project and it was an embarrassment to the series.
I've heard
I went into it with a positive outlook. Like this is, oh no! Like it slowly sank in, and then I don't want to spoil the story, but that was like even bigger of a letdown. We're still where we started. There's no pegs have been moved really, except for a couple little.
Yeah, I was not interested in what they did to the combat system because the first two games it was kind of like Virtua Fighter.
Yep.
And I love Virtua Fighter, and so like an open world type game where it was like a beat 'em up with Virtua Fighter style combat. I was all about that, and then whatever they did with 3, it wasn't up my alley at all.
So it wasn't the same at all.
It.
They didn't. I've heard a lot of fans of the first two say that the third is kind of, it's janky and dated, but it also feels like it's like a Dreamcast game with a fresh coat of paint.
Pretty much. It just didn't feel good. Like a lot of the, you could assign like shortcuts to a lot of the special moves. And the dumbest thing that they did was that your health and your stamina were like tied together in this energy mechanic. So like if you ran and sprinted anywhere, it would drain that. It would drain your health. So then if you ran and started a battle, you only had 2 dots of health. And it was just like,
that sounds infuriating.
2 separate meters? Yeah, it was awful.
On Kickstarter, I've heard that big publishers will sometimes use Kickstarters as a gauge to see how much interest there is in a product.
100%. Yeah, so that's been done.
Okay, so like, Shenmue 3 comes in and does their Kickstarter, and that's obviously not all of the money that it takes to develop it because games need far more than that. But if it does well, then the publisher's like, okay, we'll throw in.
Yeah, generally the Kickstarter will tell the potential investor, here's guaranteed half the sales. If you front the rest of the money, then, and we double these numbers, then you'll make your money back. So that's how that's done.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I feel like the way that they structured like the rewards within the Kickstarter and like them adding little things to the game because they hit a certain level, like them focusing and looking at it that way is another big factor of why it was just a failure. Because they were like, oh, we added a mini game that's you pick a color and you have a 1 in 25 chance of picking the right color. It's like, cool, man. I guess I'll exploit that later to get some easy, but it didn't need to be there. It's just like, man, these are all not very good additions.
So Nitroid, you also mentioned The Last Guardian, which was another disappointment.
Oh, y'all are on some shit, man.
And the third game you mentioned from that E3 was Ff7, which, hey, Fingers.
I finally got it. I haven't.
What's the situation?
I'm on.
Okay.
I'm on chapter 10. So
you're getting there.
Yeah.
Boo.
Hurry it up.
But can we talk about?
Spoil it.
Can we talk about this for a bit? The Final Fantasy VII.
Go ahead.
I gotta make a quick.
Yeah, but you haven't finished.
I gotta make a quick defense of The Last Guardian here because it is by and large one of the best PlayStation 2 games I've ever played.
Yes.
Yeah.
That game was very janky, and the dog didn't do whatever the hell I told him to do.
Yeah, but it had so
was a
much
dog.
character. You got to give it that.
It did. It was heartwarming. Like, I found myself being like, oh, shit, oh, no, don't kill me. Okay, you're good. Like, I have, like, a whole exchange of me talking to Trico.
That game was so mired by delays and corporate meddling that it's hard to tell what it would have looked like if it had come out the way it was intended, when it was intended. But, you know, it's also kind of hard to follow up a game like Shadow of the Colossus.
Right. Truly. Yeah.
The AI was like a bug or a feature type with the dog. It was like, is he learning? Is he just being stubborn, or am I not doing the right cue?
Yeah,
around him? That was part of it. That was a little frustrating, but also just kind of like.
I was gonna say it was obfuscated enough that you weren't sure if the game was being smart or stupid.
Yeah.
But then by the end of it, you were so frustrated that you didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I had a good time with it.
I
though,
did too.
overall. It was definitely not a perfect system.
So, Ff7 Remake. I know we're gonna get to Metal Gear eventually here, but
yeah, but I'm finding myself bored a lot.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
that was sarcastic, by the way. Yes, this game's boring in a lot of places.
Even in the slower sections in the original, I don't even know what I'm doing in a lot of the times. I'm just like, wait, what's going on? Like, what? And the side quest, the filler stuff, that's like some of the worst shit I've ever done.
My gripe was with the game. I enjoyed the game quite a bit. My biggest gripe was that I felt like they had this battle system that is so close to being absolutely stellar, but they never give it room to breathe.
Yeah, and the AI never uses regular attack and builds up their ATB, and that's bullshit.
Well, I kind of get that because they wanted to keep it a bit closer to what FF7 was, where you have to issue the primary commands to each character. So, like, on that level, I sort of understand why they did that.
Yeah, I just wish I had a gambit system of sorts to just be like, hey, be more aggressive, or hey, be more, defensive or something. But they're just kind of useless when you're not in control.
Small completely gripes. Useless.
And how are you going to make a motorcycle scene boring? Like, that first motorcycle thing, I was like, I don't know. It just, something about it wasn't hitting. The way that you had to accelerate to, like, catch up and stuff, it didn't feel good. I don't know. I'm still haven't beaten it. I've got some dissonance with it where I'm like, this isn't good.
Back on the original, these segments didn't exactly have stellar controls either, but they didn't outstay their welcome. They were just kind of one and done. You were hopping around so fast between different modes of play, different set pieces, that you never really had a lot of time to kind of get to know these subsystems except through repeat playthroughs, and by then you were already sort of emotionally attached to it all. So in this game, it's like every tiny little thing that was in the original is expanded out to a ridiculous degree. And so you get to experience more of it, but you also get to see all the glaring flaws at the same time.
I think you nailed a point when you said the set pieces. Like, that's something that I'm really missing in this game. That was one of the really cool things about Final Fantasy VII was how much they played with perspective and where your character started on the screen. And you had to hit start, be like, where the hell is Cloud? Oh, okay, there he is. Okay. From there, like, you just had this mix-up. Whereas when I'm playing behind the character and just, like, running in this, fixed camera system, I'm like, this all feels samey. It's weird.
It somehow also feels... This is the most ironic thing about 7 Remake. And again, I know I'm criticizing it, and I said I really liked it, and I do really like it, but somehow, despite the fact that they've expanded everything in the game outward and blown it up to ridiculous proportions, it feels smaller than the original.
It does. Yeah, that's another part of it that I'm like, man, I'm not even hitting the main beats.
and I know I'm not talking about like leaving Midgar and going out into the world map. I mean just Midgar alone in the original feels larger in scale to me than the remake.
I think it's perspective too. Yeah. It's just like each screen you're loading, that's the set pieces of like seeing that I remember that one crane scene where you're like hopping along the crane, you got to go up that one, like you could get lost on that screen if you didn't really know what to do. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's like are you talking about when you're climbing the plate?
Yeah. and there's like all the different perspectives that you're going through. But yeah, I don't know. It's just like this engine that looks great. Like I love looking up at the plate. Like that's really cool. I like doing that. Everything's beautiful. But yeah, it's something about where it's like they've taken the important parts and expanded on some of them, but they're in different places, and it's just it feels really weird to me.
There is
like, fully embraced it
arguably
yet.
some sort of, I don't want to get into spoilers here because you're not far enough, but let's just say that their approach to this may have a point.
Yeah, and I can kind of see where it's gonna go in that regard, but I don't know, man. Games are not hitting the same right now. It's weird.
They haven't for a while, and I don't know if that's just because we're getting older or what.
This is gonna sound. I know this contradicts a lot of what we talked about in weeks past, but I've been getting really into Resident Evil Resistance.
Nice.
I saw that.
It's janky as hell, but the build system, it's sort of like an RPG system. It has a lot of variety in terms of both the survivors, the 4 players that